I am Lobo, and I hunt alone. Welcome back to Bad Movies Rule, the worst movie podcast ever recorded. And today, on a very special episode of Bad Movies Rule, we're talking about The Boyfriend School.
Hold on a second. Kurt, come here. I would quick tell you something. Come here.
Oh, jeez.
Frickin' make me watch this.
Me like that?
For everybody who's not watching on YouTube, I just punched Kurt Mummer right in the arm.
Oh, yeah. This man woke up and chose violence this morning. It's not Kurt's fault. This was The Boyfriend School from 1990 was a submission from a listener. One of our listeners, Scarlett Rose, wrote in, and
I don't like her.
This one's for you, Scarlett. Oh, we love Scarlett.
I'm gonna be Bob today.
Do you ever guys watch those the after school TV shows, and they like Saved by the Bell and stuff, and then go on a very special episode of Saved by the Bell, right? This is a very special episode of BMR because today my own daughter has joined us in the studio. Grace, give it up for Grace. How are you today, Grace?
Hey.
I'm good. Oh, yeah. This has been the best movie I've ever seen. So.
Wait, are you serious?
I don't know. Am I?
Oh, jeez.
We'll find out because this is the first rom-com we've ever done before.
Rom-com? More like a rom-bomb.
Oh, please.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to punch you again.
Don't punch me again.
Keep doing that,
please.
Well, also joining us this morning, as you've already heard, because there's already literally been physical violence in the room, is Joseph Gorotowski and Kurt Mummer. How are you boys doing this morning?
I woke up and did not choose violence.
Yeah, I woke up and chose violence. Specifically at you.
I'm doing well until I got hit in the arm by Joseph Gorotowski, his giant meat hands. Good Lord, it's like getting hit with a ham bone.
There's actually a video on YouTube, speaking of.
Yes.
Long time ago.
Yeah, me and him had a punch-off.
That was from... So if you go on YouTube and you search two Packer fans punching each other...
Literally, that's
you'll
exactly
find
what you search
the
for.
2010 version
yes.
of Joe and Kurt
the 2010 version.
punching each other.
My arm was bruised for like 3 weeks after.
Same here.
It's crazy. No one would quit. Just like this movie doesn't know when to quit.
Nice segue.
Let's get the vitals out of the way here. This, as I said, is The Boyfriend School from 1990.
Oh, wait a second. It was Boyfriend School?
So
I thought it was Don't Tell Her It's Me.
it depends on where you look because it was released with, this is the whole thing with them. It was originally Don't Tell Her It's, or it was Boyfriend School. Then it was Don't Tell Her It's Me because some test audience reacted poorly. Then they ended up changing it back to The Boyfriend School. So some copies of the DVD say Don't Tell Her It's Me. Some say The Boyfriend School. You look it up on Google, it's Don't Tell Her It's Me. You pull it up on IMDb, it's The Boyfriend School. So it's the movie with two titles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's probably the only special thing about this movie.
How did that work out for him?
Yeah.
Extra special.
What's that?
Just makes it extra special,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did that work out for him?
Not well. Kurt, you weren't lying when you said that this was a bomb. We just cut straight to the budget. This movie had a budget of $7 million, which for a Hollywood studio movie, very low budget.
Yeah.
It grossed $1.2 million.
Yikes. Yowzes.
It made almost nothing compared to the cost. And but yeah, this movie was directed by Malcolm Mowbray and
Mowbray?
So directed by Malcolm
Mowbray.
Okay, who was it written by?
Sarah Bird.
Okay, that's interesting.
Why is that interesting?
Well, we'll get into it.
Okay.
Just the way the everything's written and the characters are written. I couldn't tell if it was written by a woman or a man, directed by a woman or a man, because I feel like that has something to play with it.
Yeah, so Sarah actually wrote the book. This was based off of a book. And she wrote the book and then also wrote the screenplay adaptation for her own book and did not like it. She famously said after the movie, she said, my mediocre book was turned into a mediocre movie. And she's not a fan.
Well, to be honest, my feelings are mediocre about this whole movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's sitting currently at a 5.8 on IMDb, which is pretty high. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, 5.8 is not good, but it's higher than I thought. This was going to be in the 4s, easy. And it is currently does not have a rating on Rotten Tomatoes. There's not enough reviews to give it a rating, but it has a 60% audience score. It's considered fresh with the audience on Rotten Tomatoes.
Why?
With over 1,000 reviews.
Who's reviewing this other than us?
There's people out there that adore this movie, is what I found when I go out there looking. This is someone's favorite movie, Grace.
Yeah, mine.
She is the 60%.
We are going to have
I
questions.
reviewed it 1,000 times.
Oh, gotcha.
I got questions.
You just flooded the thing.
That's why it's fresh.
I got questions for you, Grace.
Oh, no.
This movie starred Steve Guttenberg. The Goot. I wanted to like this movie so much because the Goot is in it.
I know.
You a fan of Steve Guttenberg?
Police Academy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Short Circuit.
Oh, fantastic.
Three Men and a Baby.
He owned the 80s. That was his decade.
It was, along with Arnold. But yeah, absolutely.
And I watched this whole movie thinking it was did you think it was the 80s the whole time we watched it?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, to be honest, though, it was really difficult to tell. I don't think you're really paying attention to that, so I don't know.
It actually was 1990 when this movie came out, so that's probably why it bombed. If this was 80s Guttenberg, he was untouchable.
Guys, I've watched It Takes Two with Steve Guttenberg. If you're not familiar, that's with the Olsen twins. And I enjoyed that movie
Well, in this one,
far
it took
more
3,
than this
so.
movie.
It did. All right, let's just get down to the vitals. Well, I should say also, it's not just Steve Guttenberg, but Jamie Gertz, who I felt there's 3 different reasons why I felt terrible for her in this movie we'll get into as we talk. And then Shelley Long, who also kind of owned the 80s and early 90s, was kind of her moment. And, let's get into it. Let's talk about your general impressions of the movie. Joe, if you just give me an overall, what's your thoughts on it? I almost said It Takes Two. Don't Tell Her It's Me / The Boyfriend School.
It's horrible people. In a horrible movie. It's a horrible people in a horrible movie.
So there wasn't one person that was likable?
Yes. Her editor-in-chief,
Trout?
I actually liked him.
What?
Oh, okay.
He was the most relatable, like realistic looking character out of this whole thing.
The King Bee was the most relatable.
Yeah.
First of all, there's not even such a thing as a king bee.
No.
Right? There's the queen bee. This guy's an idiot.
King bee.
He's from Desperate Housewives, correct?
Everybody knows a kid, yes. Well, and he was also in, I think, Twin Peaks.
I mean, he plays a pretty
stuff.
good DB.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I
okay.
enjoyed his character.
He plays a really good, arrogant jerk.
Over the rest of the characters. Like rating on a curve here, guys.
But we're just talking about the content of their character. You said this is bad people doing a bad movie.
Yeah, they're bad.
He's not bad. He's not a good person, I mean.
No, he's not. He's horrible.
So overall, we give this like a 9 out of 10?
No. Okay. I punched Kurt for a reason.
Kurt, what's your overall impression of the film?
My arm is a 9 out of 10 right now. It hurts so bad. Overall, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I had a really hard time watching this movie. I literally had to force myself to watch it twice because I usually watch it once going in with sort of no feelings about the movie.
You watched this twice?
Yes.
What you did to yourself was worse than what Joe did to you.
Well, that's true. and then I usually watch it a second time for notes.
Right.
But I really it was like basically helping a friend move furniture. You're reluctant to do it, but you do it anyway.
Yes.
And then by the end of it, you're like out of breath and
you're regretting everything.
Yeah, and your body hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Was it like a Clockwork Orange scenario where you were sitting there with your eyes pried open, being forced to watch it?
Yeah. I wanted to pour salt into my eyes. That's how.
All right.
But overall, I give it a 2 out of 10.
Okay.
Overall.
All right. Grace, if you had to, in a general sense, explain your thoughts on this movie, what would you think?
I watch a lot of rom-coms. It's honestly a thing that I just take pride in doing because the movies are usually bad, but they're interesting. Mm-hmm. This one I didn't find interesting. I I feel like every time there was a moving plot line, it completely switched to a different one, and it wasn't in a way that made sense. So all of a sudden, I'm taking notes on something, and then I would look up, and the movie would be different all of a sudden, and there would be something completely different going on, and it wasn't until the end where it actually kind of made sense that this is the plot. Oh, this is the boyfriend school. Okay.
Yeah, the boyfriend school.
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying you like it because it was bad?
I liked how confused I was when it was over.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thoughts were generally that the movie is inaccessible, right? It's inaccessible to me because you can't get past I couldn't get past the premise in order to relate to it, right?
You couldn't even build a character.
You couldn't connect to the movie without
connection.
buying into the dumb premise that they had presented of, the boyfriend school and this whole thing. And so if you can't get past the plot, it's like so implausible to me and so ridiculous.
I understand that, sure.
Do you know what I mean? There's a couple of really funny moments, and to me, there's 2 winning performances in the movie. But beyond that, those things.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah.
Shelley Long.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Shelley Long in this movie. I will agree with that.
Yeah, she's great.
And then I would say the husband.
Shelley Long's husband.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the 2 winning performances for me in the movie. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's get in the weeds on boyfriend school. Let's dig deep. Let's go deeper than anybody has ever dug into this movie.
We got it.
This movie might be shallower than the kiddie pool, but we're going to drag the bottom of it, okay?
All right. I'm going to drown myself in this kiddie pool.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to dive in head first.
There's going to be a warning label on the side of this bucket.
That's right. That's right.
So your children
Don't hurt yourself. All right.
drown in 1.5 inches of water.
That's right.
That's how shallow this movie is.
We are going to go right through it. Now, this movie starts off with the opening credits, and it's like some cartoons with a voiceover of a very indecisive author, right? And Shelley Long is the voiceover, and she's Lizzie Potts, and she's this writer who writes these kind of trashy romance novels, like the ones you might see at the grocery store where, like, Fabio used to be on the cover of all of those.
My grandma would read those.
Right, and his shirt would be kind of half off, and there'd be like a woman hanging on his leg.
Sure.
Right, and it's you. Wait, I think your grandmother used to read these.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are you all right, Joe?
You okay?
Yeah, just
You look like you're in a puke. Are you okay?
grandma. That's sorry. Okay. Collect myself. The visual of his grandma reading these things.
How do you know, grandma? Did she read them to you?
I don't really want to talk about it right now. I didn't know we were going to bring. I just brought it up. Can we? What else is going on with this movie?
Yeah. So
where's the plot line now?
So she's one of these trashy romance novelists, and she has a brother. So the first scene in the movie is she goes over to her brother's house because she's clearly looking after him, and so she walks in, and it's clear something's wrong with Steve Guttenberg.
Yeah, he's missing hair and eyebrows. And he's got patches.
Not all the hair. Just there's a couple strings.
No, there's 9 strands of hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you count?
You could have. He's a recovering. I think what they say was Hodgkin's lymphoma or something like that. He's a recovering cancer patient, right?
Yeah.
And so it's through that conversation we learn he's now just come out of his radiation therapy and he's all swollen. And as he says, his body still glows at night. That's how recent it is. And he's lost all his hair, and he's not feeling very confident about himself.
So let's just call him Cancer King.
Why are we going to call him Cancer King?
We got the Bee King.
Oh, I got it.
So we'll just call him Cancer King.
King Bee.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that his sister's a little obsessed with him?
Oh God. Yeah. I don't honestly. That whole it felt like an hour. Like I know it wasn't, but it just felt like she was there talking to him about his dating life for an hour, and I'm just like,
Every scene in this movie feels like it takes an hour.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh
Absolutely.
They're just like walking around his apartment, and it's like it's a boring conversation about the same thing for like 20 minutes, and nothing changes. They're just sitting at this table and they're talking for a long time.
Well, in an apartment that's in like an old fishing cabin, right here. Like I don't.
These movies that always cracks me up. Like what their job. I always like to look at what their jobs are and then where they live, and they never seem to match up to me.
No.
Right? Like they always have these really cool, weird, quirky places that they live in these types of movies with a weird job. Like he's a cartoonist.
There's no way he makes that much money being a cartoonist. I mean, it was a little bit of a personal attack because I started off, I was a cartoonist at one point in time. And
yeah, it's
personal attack.
It was. I felt personally attacked.
My arm is personally attacked.
She needs to give him a little bit of breathing room. I mean, it sounds like the guy literally just got dropped off from the hospital, and she's kind of up his butt about getting a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of on his side here.
Spoiler alert, she does not ease up.
No.
She does not learn her lesson.
No.
There's no character, arc, with her. No. She is as bad as she goes into it, as bad as she goes out.
She doesn't change. Like
She's,
doesn't change.
She's the type of lady that can't figure out where to put a fish.
What is it?
Just one fish.
No.
Just one.
4 fish.
What does this say, though, about the talents of Shelley Long, where she pulls off a great performance where half of her entire character is, I like to hang fish up every time I'm in a scene.
I was just like, what's with the fish?
She one time she's carrying one around.
Yep.
She's hanging one up. It's like the only thing the like, what should I do in the scene? I don't know. Adjust this fish. So hang this. Why you give me all the business you give me is doing stuff with fish?
She pulled a Ricky Bobby. What should my hands do?
Exactly.
Fish.
Exactly.
Put a fish in her hand.
And so she's, as we said, trying to get him a date, and she starts going through his garbage. And this is where I kind of had a moment where, she's looking through and she's like, oh, a cup of noodles. Like all this instant food, and he's like, will you stop indexing my garbage? And I'm like, wait, that's what we do. We index garbage. This is what this whole podcast is. and then he says, I'm what does he say? I'm an obscure artist, right? Drawing an obscure cartoon for an obscure magazine. I'm like, wait, we're obscure people recording an obscure podcast about obscure movies. Like, are we Gus?
Don't insult me like that.
Are you saying we're the cancer on podcasts?
No. I'm saying everything he was describing about his life was like,
I see, hitting
hitting a little close to home.
I got you.
Right?
It was a personal attack.
What?
For
I
me,
don't know.
I related as well. Like I said, personal attack, cartoonist, obscure thing, doing obscure. I mean,
Yeah.
I do a lot of obscure stuff.
I wanted to like Gus. I really did. But then every time he spoke, I went, no. I don't.
I didn't like the whole cut to scenes either.
No.
Because he obviously was not drawing that drawing.
No.
And when they would pan back, you're like, he's got 3 lines on that paper. And then they would cut to like what he was drawing. It was this beautiful like cartoon. And then they'd cut back and there's just another 3 lines. Like, what is he? I can see the paper.
Yeah. What are you saying? This wasn't directed with a deft touch? Are you dragging Malcolm Mowbray?
I am. I'm dragging him down with me into this kiddie pool.
I don't know why he keeps getting cast as he was a cartoonist in 3 Men and a Baby too.
That's
Steve
right.
Guttenberg's character.
That's right. And you'd think after that maybe he'd take some drawing lessons.
No, guess not. And so he tries to chase his sister off, and he gives this really weird line. Which even before I got sick, I wasn't exactly Mr. Swingle. Like, what the heck does that mean? What is Mr. Swingle? Does he like to party? I want to know who Mr. Swingle is.
Obviously, everybody wants a Mr. Swingle.
Obviously, if Mr. Swingle was here,
He'd know.
The girls would be all over him.
I'm gonna Google it.
Okay, you Google Mr. Swingle while we move on, because right after this we meet the leading lady of the movie with the dumbest name, Emily Pear, like the fruit. What did you guys think of Emily?
Well, just the first scene she's in, literally, she's like on a date.
A horrible date. Yeah.
The guy's like first sentence, he's like, Scorpio? I looked at you and I knew you were a Scorpio. And I'm just like, walking red flag right there. Like,
right.
And so it just says something about her, and then she just gets worse and worse as the movie goes on. She gets absolutely just more stupid.
She should have stuck with that guy.
She is horrible.
She's bad. We were watching this with my wife and your mother, and
In case you didn't know.
she didn't. I'm letting the people at home know.
No, that's what I was saying.
And she was getting mad at us by how much we were giving Emily a hard time. She's like defending her, right?
Yeah.
But both, I think Grace and I were on the same
coming
page.
to
We
her
we're like, no, she's the worst.
Very, very shallow.
Extremely.
Yeah. And this guy she's with was all, I mean, what did he say after the whole Scorpio thing? He laughed and he goes, oh, I think you'll remember that I said that.
Yeah.
He did the whole like
Dose.
yes,
Yeah.
señorita.
Oh gosh. Calls her Elise.
And then she speaks English back to him.
Yep.
Like, yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's the specials
2 for 1.
are 2 for 1, yeah.
She also does not look like she speaks Spanish
No, she
at all.
will. Spanish.
Yeah. He was awful.
Look how awesome I am. I am bilingual.
And yet
Dos por favor.
would have been better to go with him, I think, than Lobo. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that. So the way that these are the three main characters of the movie, and the way the movie creates a scenario for them to all cross paths is by her editor gives her this assignment to go to this romance convention.
The Lovebury.
The Lovebury, is that what it was actually called?
Yes.
Okay. It was, to me, it was just like a sad Comic-Con for depressed women, right? I mean, it looked exactly like, it's just like, how'd you feel about how it was decorated?
Oh, I said it was like a baby shower. It was all pink.
Oh my
And it
gosh,
was like
yes.
a really, really, really weird baby shower.
It was a 1980s baby shower.
Yeah.
It looked
Yeah.
like my grandma's house.
Tell me more about
Did your
what
did your
happened?
grandma have like a guy walk around with his butt cheeks
Yeah,
out?
gratuitous butt shot all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like Wild Wild West.
I paused it at the wrong time, okay?
It was paused. It was paused.
She said something, and I was like, oh, I want to write that down. And I paused it right as butt guy came onto the screen. And
Really?
I
My
thought I was
note-
watching Jim Cotta with Ass Monk guy.
No.
Yeah.
My note is literally I'm like starting to write about the Lovebury, and then all of a sudden I'm just saying lost track of thought due to the fact that this blinding pale butt is on the screen. I can't.
she screamed
I-
because I paused it. She yelps, and I have to look up to go, what? Ah!
Oh!
It was like watching Jim Cotta again. That was the exact same moment that I had.
Yeah.
Rope thong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And do you think do these things really exist? Trashy romance conventions? There's a convention for everything.
There's gotta be.
Yeah, there's got
Right? So this is where she is, and she's supposed to interview Shelley Long's character, right? And this was the first moment that I felt so bad for Jamie Gertz, because I like Jamie Gertz. Jamie Gertz has been in lots of cool stuff. She was, if you guys have ever seen Twister, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt are a divorced couple, or trying to get divorced because he shows up with the papers for her to sign. And they eventually reconcile, but for the first half of that movie, he's got his new girlfriend who he wants to marry, played by Jamie Gertz. She's a psychologist or a therapist or something, right? And plus, she's been in some other stuff too.
Well, there was a show I think it's called Still Standing.
Okay.
And maybe that's the Tim Allen one. I'm not exactly remember, but it was
Yeah.
like late 90s, and it starred the guy that was in the Flintstones remake. He played Fred.
Right.
And they were husband and wife, and they had a couple of kids, and it was actually a pretty funny sitcom.
Yeah, so I like her as an actress. Like Emily Pear is the worst, but I like Jamie Gertz. So I felt really bad for her. And this was the first moment because Shelley, who, as we've all determined, her character Lizzie has no chill at all about getting her brother a date.
No.
So within 2 seconds of meeting this woman, she's trying to figure out how to get them together. Like, she just met her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's just
Going off of nothing else.
no.
Just, yep.
And so the first reason I feel bad for her is just the dialogue that this woman has to speak, right? It makes her look terrible.
Would you laugh again? I'm sorry, what?
She says, what's your ideal guy? And she describes her ideal guy as someone with warm feet that she cares about. That's it.
With integrity. That's like the whole thing. Just with integrity.
Yes, with integrity,
She wants somebody that's cliche.
I guess. But she...
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to keep going, so...
Oh, I was going to make a joke. So you said she was in Twister?
Yeah.
There's nothing more that I wanted than for a tornado to work through and drop a cow on me.
Oh, I thought you were going to have a tornado rip through the Lovebury.
No, I was just talking about for me watching this movie. I would have just loved if a tornado stopped by and just dropped a cow on me.
If that had happened, a tornado enters the scene, I would have been like, I would have sat up in my chair. Oh, this just got interesting.
Wait, I gotta pause the movie.
Let's see what's going on. Let's see which one of these women is ready to survive. Let's go.
I wanted to catch a random arrow when I was watching this.
Honestly, thank you. Because during this scene, I should have mentioned this earlier, when she was on that date with Mr. Scorpio guy, I was thinking, if there was going to be a random Gymkata arrow just come into the frame and just nail this dude, that would have been the perfect moment.
The Gymkata arrow is gonna live on for a while because there's a lot of this stuff that I just want to see.
Now, Grace, you watched Gymkata with me. I know you weren't on that episode.
I'm pretty sure I didn't even watch the whole thing. I think I came in a little late, but yeah, I watched.
I don't know if you remember. There were moments in that movie where just random guys would just get shot with arrows out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would have been.
They sinned against the Gymkata gods.
That's
But
what
we want to see more of that.
That's
in
right.
These
Yeah.
crappy movies, just these random
Every
arrows.
single movie.
Yeah.
You know, you brought up the scuzzy date too. Isn't that sort of an 80s trope?
Oh,
to
yeah.
show how single you are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well,
a
it's just in a
trope
rom-com in general, right?
Right.
It's a trope. Like, let's show her failing in her love life in every turn. Like, she hasn't been able to meet the guy.
Right.
She's struggling. It's bad. And we find out she's kind of not really in a relationship, but she had been on and off again with Trout. I guess this is a good time as any to bring up Mr. King B, who plays her sleazy editor. And the guy was a total scuzzball.
Real quick before we get into that, really deep dive in that. All the men have been written to be absolute the worst of their character. Whatever their
Yes.
kind of specific character supposed to be, they're the worst of it.
Yes.
And that's why I question whether it was written by a man or a woman, because it's all it's. I know it's supposed to be a movie. It's supposed to be it's a fantasy, but these guys were written to be the worst of the worst.
Well, that's because they're just two-dimensional caricatures, basically, right? There's no like super deep character development. They're just painting with broad strokes here.
Yeah, okay.
And then the actors
sticks. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the actors come in and they just, it's just not good. Sorry, Sarah, but I think you would agree because you kind of trashed your own screenplay. It's just not great writing.
Okay.
And this guy, I mean, within the first scene he's in, he's like, tell Big Dog where Little Dog's been. And I'm like, ugh. This is the first time he refers to himself as King B, too. It's just gross. But she does get roped into, and this is kind of the first major moment in the film, the dinner date, right?
Yeah.
Where Jamie Gertz's character, Emily, goes over to Lizzie's house to have the grossest salad that I've ever seen in my entire life.
You don't like octopus salad?
It was squid.
No, it was
Oh, is that
jellyfish.
what it was?
It was
Jellyfish.
jellyfish.
Oh, yeah.
Jellyfish. We were all wrong.
Blech.
No. And apparently it causes you to hallucinate because at one point she's eating it and she looks over at Steve Guttenberg. He's
And
just
his head
got,
is like 10 times the size it should be.
yeah, it was not good.
Terrifying.
What'd you think, Grace, of the fashion in this movie? Because you remember the white dress she shows up in to this dinner?
Well, honestly, that's not even the worst of it because
Yeah.
you can't pay attention to that when you're focused on the way that the family dresses, like Lizzie and her husband and her kid, and just their, I guess, sense of culture, you could say, is a little confusing. But I mean, overall, just
You mean the fact that Lizzie was wearing like a kimono?
so was her daughter too. Yeah.
Oh, were they both?
Yeah, they both were. It's a little.
I didn't realize what the daughter was wearing, other than to say I was very concerned for her mental health.
And what a nickname. Piglet.
Piglet.
Yeah.
Piglet.
Don't know that I'd ever call my daughter Piglet, but
That's got to be one of the worst kids on film ever.
But Emily ends up within a few minutes of getting there in her underwear, and she's just hanging out in her underwear.
jogging,
Yeah.
working on some exercise equipment.
And then she pulls up he walks in and she pulls up like the tiniest towel of all time.
Yeah.
Like she's like, I have to cover myself.
It covers
With
the
a
one
hand
thing
towel.
it covers the one thing that's already covered.
Well, she covers her collarbone,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, oh,
No, not up here. Don't show my throat.
That's such a nice clavicle you have. Whoa.
She grabs this tiny towel and covers herself because Gus walks in, and that's their first time ever meeting. So it starts off great. Well,
It starts off great.
the one person in this entire scene, every scene I'm watching, I'm like suffering through. Okay, like okay, let's get to the next thing. Let's get to the end of the scene. But any scene that Lizzie's husband was in was a treat.
Yes, I agree.
A treat.
I guess.
He was awesome. This guy, he's in the weeds on his ginger to coriander ratios, and I was there for it. I was like, yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Well, and I feel like the reason he was so funny was because nothing else was funny up to that point.
Yeah.
So it was like, what a breath of fresh air.
It's like a drop of water in the desert.
Yeah. You're like, oh, give me more. I need some more, please. Oh, he's not going to be on till later? Great.
No.
It's just confusing how her job is writing romance novels, and that's the husband that she has. It's a little, it's a little off-putting. Where do you get your inspiration from? Not him.
Well, not only that, I think she even says earlier in the movie, like it's her job to know what American women want from their men.
What American women want?
Is this guy?
I don't.
Let me tell you, this guy likes to party.
Yeah.
With his
See his dance moves?
And his jellyfish salad.
Wait for the traditional third scoop. That actually made me laugh.
Yeah.
But who makes that when people are coming over for dinner? Like let's go with the craziest thing we can make.
When I get rich,
party.
yeah. When I get rich, that's the kind of.
Is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah. I'm gonna be the worst hosts ever.
I get nervous. Okay, this is more having to do with me than anything. I'm not as picky of an eater as I used to be. I've gotten a lot better, but I still get anxiety when people invite me over to dinner because I don't know what
they're making.
Yeah, and so I'm like nervous about this, how that whole social interaction is going to go, and what I'm going to have to do.
You have to be like, I don't eat that.
Right, and then they've already made it.
I'm sorry.
And then so either that or I'm just going to choke it down, and then that's going to be worse. And it's
You start hallucinating,
yeah. So this gave me PTSD.
and then you're just sitting there in your underwear.
That's right.
Jogging on a treadmill.
And then I'm like, somebody grab me a hand towel. So
That was the last time I invited James over.
That's right. That's right. There is something wrong with their kid, and I'd say one of the funniest the only funny running gag in the entire movie is Lizzie telling her daughter in great detail how she will die.
Yes.
All those different
I like to
times.
give her options. Or what was the line?
I like to orient her with consequences.
That's what it was. Consequences. Yes. Yes.
The one that I wrote down was, don't play with the space heater coil. If you breathe gas, it will tie up all your available hemoglobin and there will be none left for oxygen transfer. Your lips and nail beds will turn cherry red and you'll die of carbon monoxide poisoning. Parent of the year.
Yes.
Listen, there wasn't a whole lot funny in this movie, so I had to grab on to whatever I could.
Well, she puts like mineral oil compounds in her mouth, and she was like licking the outlet or something, and she walked over.
Yeah.
And she was just like,
She's an outlet licker.
That little girl grew up to be Carol Baskins.
She's
You have to like stop the whole movie just for her to explain how she's gonna die.
Yeah,
And it goes
exactly.
back and
But that's the thing is, I didn't mind that they were stopping the movie. I was like, other people might have been like, "Oh, let's get back to the plot." I'm like, "No, can we talk about this for 10 more minutes?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think the date was a success? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, open it and then we'll. Thank you. Do you think the date was a success, Grace? Are you surprised that he didn't get a second date?
Yeah, I would have given him one. So.
Oh, so you were into Gus.
Oh.
The toupee was working for you?
Yeah, obviously.
The cancer patient. You're not that shallow girl, right?
No, exactly.
No.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to make myself seem better than
Oh, Emily?
Emily Pear.
Well, you're breathing and alive, so you're already winning.
You're right.
My goodness. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I had to take breaks too while watching this movie. It was like Thanksgiving dinner right before you're about to have a heap and helping of seconds, and you got to kind of breathe, and you're like,
Yeah.
Let me take a lap. Let me shut this off for a second. Take a lap around the house.
I did.
Did you?
I did. At the hour 20 something, I paused it. And I was like, I have to walk away. And I just set everything down. And I just did some other stuff. And I came back. Actually, Grace, I got a question for you. Since you're a whole rom-com thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever read romance novels?
No. I'm not a big reader. So.
I don't like words.
I don't.
I agree with you.
Are romance novels actually like that? Is that to be actually read a romance novel? I know your grandma did, but in all,
she read them
honesty,
too.
Are they actually like what?
as over the top as? Remember, she was like sitting down in her room and she kind of
Oh,
reading
that's right.
it.
Yeah.
And just like the overall.
Well, she was laying in her bed.
Yeah.
That's like what we did before we had phones. We would lay in bed and look at books.
Yeah,
Right.
And they have phones right next to us with long cords. Remember when we had to run to the phone?
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to know: is it actually like that?
Yeah. I've never read them myself.
No, and I honestly think it depends on. Like, I think those kinds of romance novels exist, but exist. And I think that they're obnoxious. And
Yeah.
I think people know that they're obnoxious. I don't
Yeah.
know if all the
Well, I know like 50 Shades of Grey is probably like supposed to be like a heightened version of the old trashy, dime store novel. But yeah, I got to imagine that this is a real thing.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Lizzie comes over the next day. She's supposed to be reading Lizzie's books because she's doing the story on her. And when Emily tells her she doesn't like her brother, they have kind of a big argument.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And she says, she cuts her pretty good and says, you'd have fallen for him if he was devastatingly handsome and treated you like shit. Right? And I was like, dang, Lizzie. That's like,
Yeah.
you just met this woman.
Yeah, and like she's already right up on her grill. Yeah.
Right. They're both not great.
No.
And so it was hard to find someone to cheer for in this movie.
Not great.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, this is part of the problem with the movie is this is the impetus for the scheme. That's what we'll call, the boyfriend school, the subterfuge, the whole thing where he's going to become this other person in order to prove this argument, that she's right?
Yeah.
That the handsome male rogue figure that, Emily says you leave behind in high school is that's not true, that she would still fall for it. The problem is it takes 45 minutes for them to get to the central scheme of the movie, right? And we've talked about this in past episodes, right? There's a term that Harold Ramis uses for all of his movies after making the movie Stripes, which is get him in the army by page 20, okay?
Yeah.
Meaning, you got this whole setup of Stripes where, you're introducing the characters and stuff in the beginning, and the sooner you can just get them into the army, which is where the whole premise and the jokes and all that stuff are going to be, the better. So they don't waste a lot of time in the beginning of the movie. They just get them in the army.
Yeah.
And so he would say that about his scripts beyond that, right? Let's get them in the army. Whatever it is we're doing, by page 20, we got to be into it.
Yep.
The movie's only an hour and a half long. We're halfway through the movie by the time they get to the army.
Yeah.
By the time they, get to the whole plot.
Yeah. Everything felt extremely forced.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, and I think you nailed it just now when you said there was no one to cheer for.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you don't feel sorry for anybody on here. And so, like, it almost leaves you not wanting to cheer for somebody by the end. And the guy had cancer.
I know. I felt terrible for him.
And
I guess you kind of cheer for him, but more to get away from his sister than anything.
Well, yeah, but you still, by the end of the movie, you don't care that the two are together.
Yeah.
Not to,
Oh my gosh.
also forget-
Spoilers. Spoilers, Kurt.
I'm going to punch you right in the face.
I'm so sorry.
You also just forget that he was a cancer survivor in the first. I feel like literally by the end of the movie, I was like, wait, how did it start? Like, I totally forgot that he had that quality in him that made him better.
Absolutely.
Right, because he gets involved in this, really, if you think about it, terrible scheme.
Oh, it's bad.
Oh, yeah.
To stalk and dupe this woman into dating him.
I feel like there's could be like an actual.
Like this should be turned into a horror movie?
No, not a horror movie, but
Litigation.
Litigation involved. Like there's like.
Right, this could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
Or he's looking at jail time.
They're
Possibly.
both looking at jail time.
Yeah. So, but she goes over to, and this is, she's trying to convince him to go along with the scheme. And her scheme is, I'm going to transform you into one of these characters from my books, right? And at first he wants nothing to do with it. She, presents this to him, and he's like, what is she basically, get out of here, leave me alone. I'm not, what is he at one point? I'm not your retarded son.
Oh, yeah. He goes, yeah.
Retarded brother.
Yeah. And I couldn't believe that was even like, I felt so, at that point, I was like,
yeah.
I couldn't believe, I was like, man, this is awful.
And she doesn't deny it.
No, right.
No.
And it's, you feel bad for him at that point because you're just like, what?
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to be able to do this myself. And he calls her up. He calls Emily up to try and get a date. And she hits him with a couple of the worst excuses. I mean, have you ever given a terrible, lame excuse for someone trying to date you?
I don't know if I ever pulled out oral surgery or like
Cajun cooking class.
Cajun cooking class.
Put that in that Rolodex.
Like, I should. But
Yeah.
no, I've never. I don't think I've ever not been straight up with people.
Well, that's good.
So.
Another, reason number 47 why she's the worst. I've got 27 Cajun cooking classes coming up every night for the next 3 years.
The next 27 are scheduled. Sorry.
It was bad. But he then realizes it's not going to happen on my own. So he calls his sister and says, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. Change me.
That's right.
Change me and turn me into
That's right.
some weird character.
I'm going to enroll in boyfriend school.
Yeah. So then I can get this woman to fall in love with me.
Right.
There it is.
And boyfriend school consists of what? Running, contacts,
Tanning,
tanning.
a haircut,
A mullet.
A very long mullet.
You didn't like the hair?
the Billy Ray Cyrus
Oh.
look there.
That was not it?
It was also highlighted. Like it was like hair was like brown and it was blonde. Like the mullet. Was
Had the bronze. Yeah,
The mullet's
blonde
not, the mullet's not going to get it?
no.
No. That's one of my favorite lines in the movie when she walks in the scene before that and she says, pajamas are not going to get it. I was like, okay.
Well, and doesn't she say something about teal boxer shorts or something like that
Something
too?
like that,
And then There's a whole part about that because then
Wasn't he wearing teal boxers?
well, yeah, near the end,
yeah.
and you're like, wait a second.
I think he only went halfway because she said bikini briefs.
Oh, that's what it was.
And at the end, he's just wearing teal boxer shorts.
Yes.
And I'm like, looks like Guttenberg wouldn't come out of his trailer unless if they were going to make him wear the bikinis. And so that must have been a little bit of a compromise there.
But yeah, back to the mullet. I mean, that's some sweet Dog the Bounty Hunter mixed with Mad Max right there.
I still don't know why
That
that
sweet Lobo
hairstyle
look.
ever worked.
And Lobo is the name that you pick.
Do you think Lobo, the comic book, is loosely based off of him?
No. I did think of that. Everybody has a bland name.
Yes.
And I almost feel like there was a reason why that was, because you pointed out the names were just so bland.
Yes.
Was to make Lobo the most insane sounding name.
Maybe.
Maybe is that why they
Like
picked
it really
that name?
drew attention to just that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're onto something, Joe. Like they just said, let's make the worst, most boring characters ever created so that Steve Guttenberg, dressed in chaps, doing the worst New Zealand accent of all time would seem like a catch.
That's it right there.
That's what it was. Like when they saw, he came out and, they did the costume test or whatever, and he gave his screen test and they realized that the height that he was going to bring this character to was only about just barely off the ground. They're like, we got to lower everybody else quick.
Yes. Yes.
That's what happened.
Yep.
After the whole exercise montage, did you catch the little fake that they did? So there was the guy in the distance running that was dressed like Gutenberg.
Oh, really?
And then all of a sudden he's in a tank top and he turns around and he does the hey.
Oh, with the girls? There's just random girls driving around.
Yeah.
They're like the first time they're like, get out of here, fatty, or whatever they do.
Yeah.
And then the next time you're like, hey, where you going, baby?
Yeah. And that's when he turns
Yes.
and he's
You
like,
look good,
it was
fatty.
like a Mentos commercial. Hey.
We should maybe make that into
Mentos
another
freshen.
Mentos.
Yeah.
Just
we
like we
should.
did with Rad. I'll see if we can cut that together, but you're probably right. It probably works perfectly.
It would.
But there's another trope. I mean, and it's
What's
surprised
that?
you didn't point it out, but the 80s workout montage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's again, they had, in the absence of real ideas, you fall back on your cliches.
Yeah.
And that's what these movies do. Right? I mean, you can almost plot out a romantic comedy plot line for plot line for plot line. And so this was just, doing all of those things. But if we were going to start a wall of shame for, and Guttenberg would be the first inductee on the wall for worst movie accents of all time.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be on there, right? I mean, have you ever heard someone from New Zealand? I mean, I watched a lot of Flight of the Conchords, What We Do in Shadows. That is the worst New Zealand accent I've ever heard in a movie.
Yeah.
Why not just pick an accent that he could do?
Yeah.
He's got to be able to do something.
Or one that would be attractive. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Grace just drags an entire country.
I'll get her with my New Zealand accent.
That's right. That's, famously sexy New Zealanders.
Yeah, sorry to them.
Hello, I'm here for the band meeting. This is like not something you would attach to Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome, I would imagine.
I think they picked it just because he couldn't do it.
Do you think?
Yeah, just because he couldn't do it very well.
What if that's the only accent he can do?
You think the producer hated Guttenberg and he's like, Guttenberg. No, call him up and tell him we want him to do this movie.
Yeah.
It will destroy him.
Yeah. He'll never work
Get him on the
again.
phone. Hey, Steve, what's up, buddy? We got this part, man. We think you'd be perfect for it.
Yeah.
Hey, you can do a New Zealand accent, can't you? Perfect. Hang up. We got him.
Yes. That's exactly how it happened.
That's exactly how it went down. I bet.
Oh.
All right, so let's get to this.
I feel like you literally made up a new movie. It should be called Got Guttenberg and just
Let's talk about the first time they met. Let's talk about the gas station.
Well,
Holy crap, gas prices were low. Sorry.
Can I just start off by saying, I don't know if you remember this, but when he first comes up on the screen, like Lobo,
Yes.
I legitimately did not think it was the same person. For like 5 minutes, I was freaking out.
You're
I
right.
was like, it's not the same actor. It's not the same person. It's like...
We were arguing. I had to pause and I was like, that is Steve
I was
Guttenberg.
losing my...
She's like, no, it's not.
I can't see it.
You fell for it.
Well, she
Yeah,
had
I
never
did.
really seen a Steve Guttenberg movie before. So the only Steve Guttenberg she'd ever seen was pudgy, bald Steve Guttenberg.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Right?
Now.
So when I was like, okay, who's this new guy, and why is he all of a sudden in the movie? And
Right.
it took me a good long while to realize he just had contacts and a mullet. So,
And I love that that's what they landed on, too.
oh,
Right?
well, in that whole scene, he had to have stalked her.
Right.
Like he followed her to the gas station.
Yeah.
So
This is
was
what
he
I'm
just
saying.
hanging out in front of her apartment? Where did he know? Did they switch addresses? Like how did they?
Yeah, and it's really hard to be sneaky with a Harley. He's just down the street. Just like
Turned off. And he's just like
he's just
kicking his feet.
paddle walking the bike down her street.
I like that you're slinking because that's how you say incognito on a bike. You just slink down and nobody can see you.
But Joe, I don't want to pass what you said before. She came there to pump $2
$2 worth of gas.
worth of gas.
Yeah, that
Remember
got
those-
you around back then.
Remember
Two-
those days?
I was like, I remember when she pulled up and she started pumping. I was like, don't show the price, don't show the price, because it's just gonna make me mad.
Yeah.
Right. But then when she goes in,
$1.09.
and she's
Or
like,
no, $1.03.
I meant to. Did they show it? Because
Yep.
I missed it. But
It's $1.03.
she went in there and she was like, I meant to pump $2 and accidentally pumped 23. It's like, I don't think your gas tank was going to hold $23 worth of gas in 1989 when they
No.
filmed this.
No. Well, it was spilling out
Yeah,
Right.
because
that's
she
true.
was so enamored with the tall biker
Right.
armored plated boots that he was wearing. God knows that.
That's right.
That's what got me.
His shins were not in trouble at any point in this movie.
Yeah, his shins had plot arms.
That's right. They did.
Nothing was going to hurt.
Imagine not having a gas tank that won't fit $23 worth of gas.
this shin.
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's all right. But here's where this movie gets ridiculous. I should say it's been.
Wait. It's gonna now it gets ridiculous.
Now it gets even more ridiculous.
Okay.
There's just happens to be a random robbery.
Yeah.
Okay. And they just stand there And she stands there and he stands there. And then they watch Steve Guttenberg walk in and he leaves and he comes back in. And they're all just sitting there watching him.
Yeah.
And then he he punches and disarms a gunman.
Yep.
With what? Hot coffee? Was that hot?
Twisted
It was
tea.
Twisted Tea.
I was gonna say that's this guy.
And
It was coffee.
yeah, and
It could have worked either way though.
but it just, the thing is, it kept getting more and more ridiculous, right?
Oh, yeah. Eventually, the one woman comes in with a machete or whatever. He's like,
Danny
she
Trejo.
throws like a styrofoam cooler at him.
That's right.
Or her or whatever.
And it disarms, she just drops the
She's
machete.
just gone.
And she just books it. Oh, ice. Ugh.
Ice, not ice.
I'm mildly inconvenient.
I love that she gets in through the passenger truck and then shifts over the driver because you didn't want to knock into the camera that was
No,
standing there
you don't
filming
want
you.
to.
Yeah.
But
That's another charge if you hit the camera, man.
what else is great, if you go, I went back and rewound it, is when Machete Lady comes running in, Steve Guttenberg just falls over for no reason.
Oh,
right?
That's how he hurt his ankle.
And then he can't walk. It literally cuts from her running in the door and it cuts to him and he just goes, ah! Like nothing touched him.
Yeah.
He just falls down. And then Jamie Gertz has to save the day and then he can't walk. It's hilarious.
And while I'm at a gas station, I don't remember back in the 80s if that's in early 90s, did they just have styrofoam coolers filling
guess.
drinks?
I guess.
No. They sold styrofoam coolers.
Well, yeah, but
And I think,
I just thought it was funny that, there just so happens to be a styrofoam cooler filled with drinks and ice right here. I'm going to toss it at
That's
you.
right.
Yeah.
And then he leaves his bike there
Yeah.
for 2 days.
Yeah.
and it's still there when they come back.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like a really sketchy gas station. It's not damaged. It's in the same spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not stolen.
It's not stolen
Well,
at
when the
all.
police were called, did nobody do an investigation?
They don't show him giving a statement or anything.
should we check out this bike?
Nope.
Nope,
Just leave
that's
that
a
there.
Harley Davidson. You just leave that
That's
there.
right.
We don't want to touch because they,
So-
could have been a whole
Yeah.
biker gang they didn't want to get into.
On the first night, he's already back at her apartment, right? This worked like a charm because she's
Of
an
course
idiot.
it did.
Because she's an idiot.
Yeah.
So is he. And they're all idiots. This the idiot brigade in this movie.
Hold on a second. Did her car ever turn off?
No, it's still there running right now. It's been 20, 30 years, 31 years.
All right, go ahead.
And it's still sitting there running. It's a tourist attraction now. You can go look at it. This Buick.
All the gas.
The Buick that spits smoke out both ends. Here's reason number 2. Here's
Like
reason.
a war museum. It just sits there.
And there's Lobo's motorcycle.
Is that
I've never wanted to.
Polo Auto Mall?
I've never wanted to visit a movie location more than where that took place.
Then that
It's
gas station.
hallowed ground
Sorry, go
in
ahead.
Hollywood.
Go ahead.
No, but he this is the second reason why I feel bad for Jamie Gertz is she has to play everything so sincere. Once she's back at the house and she's in the other room trying to figure out what kind of whiskey he wants, he answers her
With gin.
in his regular voice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And she gives the stupidest line. You remember what she says?
Is that you?
That's right. Who else is in your apartment?
Oh my god.
Is that I'm sorry, it's like, is that you? Is there someone else in the room with you? Did you just birth like a cousin? He was hiding in your pocket the whole time? Of course it's him. This is the problem with her character and why I feel so bad for her is that she has to, in order for any of this premise to make sense and work, she has to be an
idiot.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. She has to be a total moron. And that was like exhibit A.
We
Well,
got
I mean,
that.
even later on, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, but when,
Yeah.
No, we won't.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to talk about when she
So-
meets the family.
Nope.
Oh, you have to.
When
But
Lobo meets the family.
Fine.
Yes.
what's funny is when when he gets back, hold on, I lost my place. Okay, yeah. after this, he goes back to his house saying, "Oh, it was great. The first night went great." And his sister has hired a
Here it comes.
sensuality consultant.
It's going to get awkward in here real fast.
Now, I was just going to speak to the elephant in the room here that this is the episode I invited my daughter to do with me.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we never seen the movie.
And I had never
before,
seen the movie, but it's a PG-13 movie. And I'm like, how bad could it be? It's a romantic comedy with Steve Guttenberg, right?
Yeah.
So I thought I was pretty safe.
No, you
No.
were not.
Nobody's safe.
Was that super awkward for you?
No, I think honestly it wasn't. I think it was just more like, what am I watching right now? I don't. It was not one of those awkward. What am I watching with my parents right now?
No.
moments. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. I think.
No. It was super educational.
It was no.
I know a lot about making fires now.
Oh, you barbecue fires?
Yeah, kindling.
That's right. Grace shrieks when she says, "Let me demonstrate," and leans down and starts flicking her tongue.
Oh, I started laughing so hard. I think I was just like, no, that's not right. It was not good.
I don't know who that, and I meant to look her up before we came in here, but who is that lady?
I've seen her before.
Because she's been in stuff.
Yeah.
That lady, I was like, man, that character sounded familiar.
Yes.
And or just that way of that tone of voice.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel that Nicole channeled that demeanor and voice in your movie,
In Mummer Man?
in Mummer Man.
You think she was ripping off this lady from the boyfriend school?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was her inspiration.
You know, Nicole's not here to defend herself. But you're probably right.
Yeah.
You are 100% correct,
She
Joe.
had that whole, like, she had her hands up.
Yes.
She had that real kind of pleasant
Demeanor.
formal demeanor.
Not everybody is mature enough for my presentation.
That's
exactly.
right.
That's right. And clearly,
My husband
all four of
Howard.
us were in that boat. None of
Harold.
us were mature enough
Yeah.
to handle that presentation.
That was so awkward.
It was bad. It was bad. And the next time the characters meet, he's gone back to the gas station to get his motorcycle,
Yeah, which is fine.
which is fine.
Grace pointed out.
Lizzie is bringing him there, but Emily is waiting at the gas station to meet him.
Who knows how long she was there?
Who knows how long?
2 days.
She knows
Just sitting in the
she's been
car.
sleeping there, her eyes crusted shut. She no-sells an empty car driving past,
Yeah.
right? She fully looks, they both duck down, and so it looks like an empty car is pulling into the gas station. And it shows her, she looks over, she's like, oh, and then just looks back to whatever she was doing before. Totally no-sells it.
Yeah.
And basically surprises him when he gets on the bike. Right? Oh, hey. Oh, weird.
Weird. How did you?
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. I just saw a Volvo drive by with nobody in it. Did you see that?
Was that yours?
No, she just
Yeah.
let that go.
No.
And there's another hilarious thing that happens as she says, no, I can't go on a motorcycle bike ride with you. I've got to get back to work. No. Takes off. 30 seconds later, can't let you leave without teaching you a full dance.
Yeah. Where was that at?
On your busted ankle.
It's not busted anymore. It
Right.
healed.
It healed
Love
because
heals
with the power of the kiss, she assaulted him without consent the night
and then
before.
She took a lap after.
She did.
She did. She
took a-
kissed him and then she just ran around her entire apartment.
Take a lap. I need
Yes.
to take a lap.
Yeah, that was.
So what you guys are basically trying to say is love heals all wounds.
It does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so
That's the
Yeah,
message.
sure. I don't know.
we suddenly got into Dirty Dancing for a minute, right? Like it looked like almost like a set from Dirty Dancing, like
Yeah.
this beach house.
I thought we were watching Red
That's what I'm saying.
with that kid and that bike. That bike
I
was
would've-
sweet.
Look, if they had suddenly, if he had been like, "Let's go ass sliding," I'd have been like, "That was from Rad." I don't know if you ever did. You see that movie? You watch Rad,
I did watch.
where they would slide down the concrete,
Oh,
with Aunt Becky from Full House.
yeah.
That was. I used to think that was a bad movie, and then since I've watched a lot of these other ones, I kind of like Rad a whole lot more now.
I agree.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a straight ripoff of Karate Kid, but this is, I don't know.
A ripoff of your $1.20.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I could have gotten a gallon
This
of
is-
gas with that.
So they go,
I'm sorry. This is the point where I pause the movie.
is it?
Yep.
Right. That's
My notes stop. Because I was done.
Yeah.
I was done taking notes.
This is when you took your lap?
Yep, this is when I took my lap. I was done watching this, and I was like, I'll come back to it. And then when I came back to it, I was like, I'm not going to take any more notes.
Who's got a time check for me?
9:27.
Okay.
We got to get going.
So we got about 20 minutes.
All right, let's wrap
Okay.
up.
23 minutes. All right. So after the dance thing, he takes her to, well, no, she decides to go to his sister's house. He does not want to go to his sister's house
Yeah.
because he knows his niece is there, and the only word she knows is uncle or uncow.
Yeah.
And he's going to get outed,
Carol
right?
Baskins, yep.
But this is again plays into how Emily has to be a total moron
Yes.
Yeah.
because the dog tips off that it's Gus.
Yep.
The daughter tips off that it's Gus by calling him uncle, by bringing up a crayon and wanting to draw together.
Yeah.
And this whole time she's just like, oh, isn't that weird?
Interesting. Or then the husband comes in and
Yeah.
he like 100% just gives it away more than anybody else. And she's like, how'd you know that? And then it just like for like 2 minutes, and she's like, how did you know that?
Right.
How did you know? Over and over.
How'd you know he was foreign?
Pointing at his shirt. Just kind of,
I mean,
And he's like,
he hasn't spoken.
Smells foreign.
Well, he's pointing at the bird that says New Zealand, and
Yeah,
he's
the
like
kiwi.
Trying to point out.
BO? Body odor?
That's right. What?
He never said it. What? How do you? Oh, he smells foreign. Yeah.
This is why I love this
totally
guy
forgets
because
Yeah.
he delivers these lines. It's beautiful. He comes in and he's like, Gus, guess what I just saw outside.
Motorcycle out there.
Motorcycle. Hi, Emily. It's obvious you've brought a complete stranger that I've never met before. She is a. Then they do the thing you're talking about with, how did you know? And the pointing to the shirt. It takes him 2 minutes to answer her,
yeah.
and it's so obvious that he's searching for the truth
Yeah.
that you'd have to have just the densest person in the world to not understand what's happening, like, to pick up the context clues, the social, the body language, all that stuff.
Why are you taking so long to answer me? Yeah.
Right.
None
but
of
she
that.
just sits there, blink, 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 blink. And just whatever answer they finally give after 2 minutes, she's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It checks out.
This checks out. We're good.
It's so obvious.
Yeah, but she's supposed to be some
She's a
investigative reporter, right?
Yeah. She is.
Just realized how.
You kind of forget about her job after a while.
Yeah.
You forget that she's even able to have the brain power to work in general.
Yeah, and then they say this whole time, too, that she's about to marry this guy, but they seemed like the whole movie they were barely together, but now they're getting married. I mean, none of it really makes any sense.
No.
And Trout is totally sleeping with this other woman in the office.
No.
No.
Mandy,
Nope.
who is clearly a Mensa student compared to...
Yeah, but she's a fine girl.
She's a what?
A fine girl.
What's a fine girl?
Mandy, you're a fine girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
I seen that where it was. Going.
Brandy is actually that's...
No, I know. But I was trying to fit it in.
Gotcha. Like Gus was.
Hey-o.
Where were I lost my place again. You did.
With a joke.
You did.
Yes.
I totally lost my spot. Okay. She leaves still being a moron. Still being totally unable to put,
She was
the
leaving
obvious
me
pieces
obtuse.
together.
Yes,
She's
obtuse.
literally like sitting there staring at the little game you used to have as a kid where it was like little, circle pegs and square pegs and the thing you had to put them into. And it's like this woman just staring at him and just went, I don't know, and leaves. Okay.
Can't figure it out.
This is the level that she's at here. Okay. He says, Lizzie, he goes back to his sister's house immediately, like while she's hanging more fish on the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm telling her the truth. This is it. I'm going over there right now and I'm going to tell her the truth. But when he gets there, she's breaking it off with Trout, who has a girl in the backseat of his car in the driveway currently.
Yeah.
Right? Breaks off the engagement for Lobo. At this point, she thinks he might be married, gay, or diseased. Okay.
But she's still going to sleep with the guy.
Yeah.
Only if the first two are a no.
Yeah.
Right?
If he's married, it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. As long
Again,
as you're not gay or diseased.
Yeah.
She's the worst. I don't know
gonna
why
have sex
that
with you.
was right. But
She's
this
the
is
best.
this is where Gus takes a line step over that line too. To all like you can't cheer for anybody, because he decides to sleep with her and then tell her.
Yeah, and I literally it says, "Good one, Lobo."
Well done.
Yeah,
Sealed the deal, Lobo.
but then
You win.
But then we do get treated to what I thought was the best scene in the movie was when she tells him, or he tells her the next morning, and he performs an entire scene with his head through his sleeve.
Yes.
Right?
Wormman.
Wormman. He's just sitting there and he looks like he's just like, please forgive me or whatever. He just looks like an idiot. Who would forgive that?
Right. And then you got this old dude with the groceries.
Yes, the old guy with the groceries, the best part of the scene.
Who's in the hallway watching this go down. And then follows him out to keep watching him outside, just still holding his groceries.
I would, man. I related to that
He doesn't say
guy.
anything. He's just like,
He doesn't say a thing. He just stands there and looks the entire time.
Every neighbor. If you live in an apartment complex, every neighbor's like that.
Trope alert.
oh,
The thing I love most about 80s movies is the music, where it did the thing where it's singing along with the
Yes.
plot of the movie and what's happening. It did it right after this scene, and it did it in the credits. It did in
In the beginning.
Yeah.
Don't tell her it's me. It's just a masquerade. I'm like, bro, why can't we still do this? This is the one thing I'd like to pluck from 80s movies and put in
Into
movies of
today.
2021.
Just have somebody write a song for the actual movie.
I love when it would get, because we could plot out rom-coms, right? And every rom-com, they have the thing where they get together and then there's some big blow up and then they hate each other and then they chase after each other, credits. Okay?
Yeah.
Every time.
Get together, right?
But in that point where they've now had their big breakup that lasts about 5 minutes of movie time before we get to the getting back together, there's always some kind of song or music back then, not now, where this trope would come in where they would start a song. Your life is spinning out of control, right? That's the one from basketball that they, Trey and Matt made fun of the whole trope, you know, and as he's riding along in the radio is singing along with his life. And I just wish they'd bring that stuff back.
What would you do?
That's right. There's look out behind you. There's a truck changing lanes.
What would you do?
That's right. I miss that stuff. She
I
goes
don't.
over.
I don't.
Emily goes over to Lizzie's house to let her have it for being part of the scheme. You meddle too much, and she's yelling at her. And Shelley Long, I think she even says, you know, you're a person that I can hate in the abstract, but in flesh and blood, you know, you're pretty great. And I'm like, I agree. She just seems like the person you can't really stay mad at. Shelley Long is so charming.
She's so manipulative, though.
She is.
That's why.
She is. But
She gets you to like her.
I was like, no, Shelley, it's okay.
it's okay
we
that
like
you're sadistic, controlling bitch. It's
Whoa.
okay. Sorry. Cut that out. But anyways.
One of the most ridiculous things.
Everybody.
Did you ever see Groundhog Day?
No. Yes.
Yeah,
of course.
okay.
Yeah, I have.
So
Except for, I don't know. I've
he's
seen
one
it
of my
twice.
favorite lines in Groundhog Day is he goes to get piano lessons from this woman, and obviously every day he shows up for the piano lessons. It's the first day she's ever met him, but he's getting a little better each time. And so by the time he's getting much better, even though to her it's his first lesson ever, she goes, "Do you say this is the first time you played?" And he says, "Yeah, well, my grandpa was a piano mover, so."
Yeah.
She just gets on this Harley and she's like, "Yeah, I rode on a Harley once, so, you know, no problem."
Yeah.
And just drives
I
this
got this.
Harley Davidson all the way to the airport. Okay.
Totally believable. Totally believable.
Yeah, no problem. And then there's this random scene where a biker pulls up next to her.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, we needed that
Nice
5
bike.
minutes. That's right. We needed that in the movie. We can't just get to the end at this point. Like, we just get to the end.
Can we just,
No more pit stops.
That's it right now.
Please.
For this show, I want to go to the end.
We're going
I'm
to
done.
the end. We're almost there.
I'm done.
Because she goes to the airport because
Yeah. There you go.
you have to chase the guy down at the airport or vice versa.
Or it's not a movie.
Or it's not a romantic comedy.
Not at all.
At no point is there ever mention of him going anywhere in the entire movie, right?
Nope.
It's like he went to the airport just so she could chase him there.
That's a trope in itself, right?
Right. And again, she's being manipulative because he's not actually leaving for New York forever.
just
He's
works
going
at
to
the
a wedding. He's a cartoonist for the airport. He just walks around drawing pictures, handing people, here you go.
There you go.
That would be really obscure.
Yep, this one's yours.
Add $20, please. Thanks.
$20.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It'll fill up
Everything is $20 at the airport. Ham
it'll
sandwich
fill
is
up my-
$20.
My gas tank for the next 3 weeks.
The next 3 weeks. So they find each other in the airport. They kiss.
Yay.
The end. I mean, it's a romantic comedy.
Yay.
He gets the girl.
It was a great payoff. I mean,
But here's
emotionally, it paid off for me.
here's the thing. I'd say normally we would say, okay, now is the time for the little things we enjoyed about this movie. But I'm gonna venture a guess and say that there are no little things that you enjoyed about this movie. But if there are, and you haven't got a chance to say that there's something in your notes that you want to point to, some little thing, now is your chance to put it out there.
All right, real quick, I got it.
Yes.
Gus's dirty phone.
Yeah.
Just want to say that. That thing
Even my wife was like,
disgusting.
wash your phone, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. That's all
right.
I got. Move on.
That's fine.
She ain't no yo-yo. So I don't remember when it was, but she was
Yeah.
with Trout, and he was talking about like how they had to get back together. or
Oh,
whatever.
right.
I don't remember. It was like
Because he
earlier
doesn't
in the-
want her unless somebody else wants
Yeah,
her.
that's what
Yeah.
she said, and that's
Yeah.
so. And then she was just like, "Well, I ain't no yo-yo or whatever," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "I respect that."
She's a yo-yo, but not in the way she thinks, I think.
Spirits for your spirits.
Oh, yeah. Oh, where he ends with the necklace ends up in the
And
in the drink.
I got to put it back in the other one now.
That was kinda
He
slick.
slipped into his regular accent in almost every sentence
Oh,
that he spoke. He would lose it, and he'd have to
You'd
go back
start
to,
off with it and then
I am
drop
Lobo.
it off.
I need no one. I hunt alone. And then he could do it.
Yes.
It's terrible. All right, boys and girls, let's give some awards. We give out awards every week on this show, and we try and find some redeeming qualities. The name of the podcast is Bad Movies Rule, and even though you're obviously you can tell we didn't really enjoy this movie, to somebody out there, Scarlett, this movie rules. It's somebody's favorite movie. Every movie is somebody's favorite movie, right? So we want to try and give it its due. Like I said, there were a couple of great performances in this movie. There were some very funny parts. There just was vast deserts in between those moments for me. But the first thing we do is we give out the Will Patton Award for intensity. Okay? Someone that is just going 110%, good or bad. They were just in there and just going for it. So who would you nominate, Joseph, for the Will Patton Award for intensity?
I feel like I'm going to speak for everybody.
Okay.
It's, the husband.
Kevin Scanlon.
Yeah.
Scannell, sorry.
Yeah. I think he
Kevin Scannell is my nomination too.
knew the
absolutely.
assignment.
This is Lizzie's
what I would
husband.
say.
Yeah.
Lizzie's husband.
Oh,
Do you have a nomination, or are you going to go with Kevin?
You
I
concur?
would have to say, yeah.
Concur?
Yeah.
Oh, unanimous.
A clean sweep.
Yep. I felt that was going to be it.
Kevin Scannell crushed it. He's a fantastic individual. God bless him. Trash can full of dirt.
Guttenberg. Guttenberg all the way.
So for those of you who maybe for our first time, Trash Can Full of Dirt Award is the award that we give out to the actor whose part could have effectively been played by a trash can full of dirt with the same emotional range. So you're saying Steve Guttenberg
Steve Guttenberg all the way.
wins the Trash Can Full of Dirt
Yes.
Award.
I think it's unanimous.
You think his level of acting was at a trash can full of dirt?
100%. I think
think,
a trash can full. You could have found a better New Zealand accent in a trash can full of dirt than
Fair enough.
Steve Guttenberg.
Do you want to say maybe Steve Guttenberg pre-Lobo or post-Lobo?
Oh man,
Yeah, because according to Grace, that's two different people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Completely different.
That's a good one.
Yes.
I guess it was
Cancer?
more entertaining watching him
So you like to
as Lobo.
Cancer? Oh,
Jeez, you guys.
As Lobo.
As Lobo.
So
Got it.
not
He was
Cancer
more
King.
entertaining. No.
Not
no.
the Cancer King.
No.
All right. Who's your Trash Can Full of Dirt Award?
Ooh. Everybody. No. To be honest with you, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. They're all just.
I'll tell you who
horrible.
mine is.
Yeah, go. Yeah, you go.
Mandy. The girl that was hiding in Trout's back seat.
Oh.
She only had 2 or 3 lines in the movie. Each one was worse than the one before it.
All right.
Okay, she was in danger of like a black hole opening up in the ground and like a charisma black hole just swallowing her up forever. That's how rough it was. It would have been perfect if there'd just been a trash can full of dirt sitting in his back seat. It's like, look, I gotta admit, I got this other thing, and she's waiting outside for me right now. He sits next to her. Tell King B or show King B all your dirt. That's got weird.
It got weird.
Who's your trash can full of dirt?
Emily Pear.
Emily Pear.
I think she just was so stupid that like there are just so many things.
I couldn't agree more.
Objects that had more intellectual, just intellectually was better and emotionally would have been better.
I think a trash can full of dirt in that last scene at Lizzie's house would have been like, I think, hold on, something's going on.
The trash can full of dirt would have been like,
Would have picked it up.
Lobo's not real.
Lobo's not real.
I'm no yo-yo.
Okay.
Yeah.
The kid had more emotional
Yes.
rage than she did.
All right, so this is going to be tough because we give out our final award is who we thought were the top 3 performers in the movie. For you personally, who gave the best 3 performances? And since there was only 2 good performances, we got to figure something out here. But you might have thought there was a different 2. I don't know, but we'll start with Kurt again. We'll come around. Who was your top 3?
I did 3 was Emily.
Okay.
Because even though she played stupid, I still at least enjoyed like how she portrayed the character.
Yeah.
Even though I don't necessarily thought it was as believable as it could be.
You felt like you actually had a chance with her because she was that stupid?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. They built her up.
Oh no.
And this isn't going to make me sound shallow now, but I just thought she was miscast. They built her up, and even the dialogue was like, "Don't start me off with Playmate of the Year," or what. Like she was this like unobtainable, amazing, beautiful woman. She's a pretty. She's just more like the girl next door than like some insanely hot supermodel.
Did you see her play Narc?
That was great.
She was doing a really good job.
And Grace will tell you, I called it out before they even showed the box. Right? I was like, she's playing Narc.
Yeah.
Every 80s kid was like, you went up 3 notches in my book when I saw that. Yeah.
And then I went with 2 was the husband.
Kevin.
Okay.
And then 1 was Shelley Long.
Shelley Long.
I really liked her. I remembered her from Cheers.
Yep.
And I just remember not liking her because watching Cheers, I was like, man, she's so mean.
Yeah.
But then I realized she's got actually some pretty good acting chops considering she was really kind of humorous in this movie.
She oozes charisma, and she's very charming and disarming, and she's got that great smile, which is, I think, how her character is able to sell. And like she said, I can't stay mad at you.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joe?
Kelly Long.
Shelley Long?
Shelley Long. That's what I meant. Sorry. Her husband, who in the movie, also. And then I think I'm going to have to go with somebody that's really awesome that really took it for me. Was the biker guy.
The biker guy.
Yeah,
the guy that pulls up and was like, nice bike.
Yep. He just.
It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue with you.
Little tears in my eyes. And that was. I mean, it really hit me hard. I mean, I really understood where he came from.
You know what? That was like a pinch hitter coming in at the end of a game.
Just
and like getting a hit right when they needed it. Because at that point, Joe's like, I only got 2. And this guy comes off the bench and drains a 3.
Steals my heart.
Drains a 3.
Drains a 3.
Yeah.
Basically what I'm saying, there is no number 3.
Oh.
Yeah. So
sorry, biker guy. We snatch it back. What were your top 3, Grace?
Well, obviously just gonna go with the basic answers: Shelley Long or Lizzie. I thought she was really good. Another a random one, I guess, is that lady in the airport at the end. You know what I'm talking about?
What, the stamp?
Yes.
Giving her the tickets. She's like got her hand over the ticket. She's like, I'm gonna staple your hand. Or, I'm gonna staple your hand. It's gonna be painful. And she was like monotone the entire time. And she was like, she was funny. And I don't know if she was supposed to be or not.
No, I think it was just her face.
She
just
looked funny. Yeah.
I think it was perfect because it's like, just wrap this movie up. Like, I'm going to cause you pain.
She's like,
if you don't
I will
wrap
staple your hand.
Wrap up.
Okay.
Please kiss him and let the movie end.
Who was your number 3?
Oh, I love the kid. I know. I loved her. I thought she
Piglet.
was hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought literally, yeah. I thought every scene that she was in was funny. It was good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, for my top 3, it's not very much different. I think there's going to be one surprise. Shelley Long and Kevin Scannell were my top 2. But then I had Kyle McLaughlin in number 3.
I'm so surprised.
Yes.
Who's Kyle McLaughlin?
The guy that played Trout. I hated his character.
I liked him.
I hated his character.
Busted me for it in the
Well, look,
beginning.
it's not a good performance. Like I said, there's only 2 good performances, but he was the best of the worst.
Well, never mind. You get to say it. I say it in the beginning, and I get crapped on.
I don't remember what you said in the beginning. It feels like a million years ago.
I liked his character.
Yeah, but I don't though.
It's
I don't like
beginning
his
of this
character.
Movie.
I don't like his character.
I don't remember.
I'm never come back on this.
Lies.
It's a bridge too far. All right, so now that we've kicked and prodded and poked and stapled the hand of this movie, we have to answer the most important question.
No.
Is The Boyfriend School a bad movie, full stop? Is it a bad movie that rules? Or is it just straight up a good movie? What do you think?
Bad movie that is bad.
Just a full stop, bad
But
movie.
I will say, I am not into rom-coms.
Yes.
So that plays a big, I don't know why this is so low. That plays a big factor in my decision on that. So I'm just saying, I am not into them. I
enjoy them.
It's trash.
I also enjoy them.
Yeah.
And I will say this movie is a hot, steaming pile of garbage.
Just full stop, bad movie.
Full stop. I wouldn't even put it out.
Wow.
I would let the fire
We've
just
never had
burn.
this. Okay.
I love this
end with
podcast, and I hated this movie.
Oh, jeez.
I had to force myself to watch it
Scarlett, I'm
twice.
so sorry.
I want you to go because I want Grace to be
Grace
the
for last?
'cause
Okay.
Hopefully she can bring it around.
All right, look, I will say I enjoyed watching the movie because of how terrible and stupid it is. You can give me the hand wave all you want, but we had fun watching this movie. Not because the movie was good. If you watch this movie by yourself, it's bad. Don't do that, right? But getting to watch it with someone can be a very fun experience. So I will
Misery
say
loves company.
It barely is over that line from bad movie full stop to bad movie that rules.
And I agree with you, but
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
I can go back and watch any of the movies that are before this one
Yes.
again.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I am never watching this movie ever again.
Exactly.
I don't know if I can say that. Grace?
What? You're gonna watch
Take it
it
out.
again? Okay, nope. There's no pressure here. I don't feel pressured.
No.
Okay, I think it's just a bad movie. It's bad. I can't go over the line. I'm sorry. I didn't think it was. I really like rom-coms, and it just didn't satisfy me the same way that the rest of them do. So I think it was bad.
Okay. I think I get it. Like I said,
come back
I'm
on the
barely
show.
over the line.
She can come back on the show.
I have a soft spot for Scarlet Rose, and I don't want to go across the board for people and say it's one of her favorite movies.
She'll be
is
fine.
A bad movie. So I got to catch her back here and say it's a bad movie that rules.
I think
I'm sure
she's
she has
strong.
plenty of other movies we could probably
Scarlett.
get nominated and watch.
You have earned the right to call another shot here. So if you've got another one, all of them are going to tackle me and say
Didn't
no.
she the Sheena? I think she said that one as well.
Did she have to go back? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was on the second second
maybe.
email.
All right, well, Sheena, then we'll have to see if that's any
Sheena,
better.
that one I watched when I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Sheena was the one. It starred the girl from Beastmaster.
Yeah. My grandma read me that one too.
He's introduced all kinds of weird stuff. By
I
his
would
grandma.
love to see that one in contrast to
All
this
right.
one. All right. Anyways,
So thank you for joining us. If you've listened this far, then we know that you love the show. And so would you do us a favor and share it with a friend? Put it on your social medias. We have some new stickers that we just got.
Stickers.
And we are going to be sending out. So if you email the show at thisshowIstrash@gmail.com, tell us all the ways that we failed you. Send some hate mail for Bob. Suggest a movie. There's any number of reasons you can email, but reach out to the show. Some of the best emails, we're going to send you some swag, and I got to send a couple out to some people that I already owe them to. So if you've got one coming. It's on its way. But we just appreciate you all listening. Next week, we are talking about dumb premises for movies, and this movie undoubtedly had a dumb premise. We are going to talk about a movie about intelligent sharks that are going to cure Alzheimer's. We're talking about Deep Blue Sea. The LL Cool J, Thomas Jane classic shark movie.
That was a great one.
Samuel L. Jackson, the whole 9 yards.
I can't wait.
We're not doing the whole 9 yards. That's a Matthew
seen it.
Perry movie. But you've never seen Deep Blue Sea?
No.
Well,
I am excited.
Join us next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
For Deep Blue Sea. In the meantime, Grace, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your first time?
I did. It was
Good. Will you come back sometime?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. For Grace Hauser, I'm James Hauser, Kurt Mummer, Joseph Gorotowski. We love you guys. Thank you for listening.
For the next trash can of dirt, I'm going to nominate you, Kurt Mummer.
I don't care what you say. Arnold Schwarzenegger would not make this movie better.
Arnold would have definitely made this movie better.
No.
Still Steve Guttenberg, but his costume is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And when he takes it off, it's Steve Guttenberg again.
I hate you, James Hauser. I would love that movie.